Sponges. You can go to practically any store and buy a bundle of them for probably less than $10. Now, of course, we're talking about the manufactured sponges, but you can go to a few stores and still buy the organic sponges, you know, the ones that are actually harvested from our oceans and seas. And of course, these were once living organisms, living animals, and the sponges are recently in the scientific literature getting a lot of press because even though they look simple on the outside, they actually hide some very complex systems on the inside. For example, Dr. Cleveland Hickman, PhD in zoology and Professor Emeritus of Biology at Washington and Lee University, stated that the exterior simplicity of a sponge masks chemical and functional sophistication. For example, the spicules of a sponge, that is the spiny or bumpy parts of the sponge, are made up of calcium carbonate and silica. Now these are excellent materials for the transportation of light and do in fact make up fiber optics that collect the sunlight from the sea and transmit it to the photosynthetic tissues of the sponge. Continuing in that vein of thought, Lee Burrows, who is the Science and Technology Communications Officer, wrote in the Harvard John A. Paulson School of Engineering and Applied Sciences news release that scientists are using the glassy skeletons of marine sponges as inspiration for the next generation of stronger and taller buildings, longer bridges, and lighter spacecraft. Continuing in that same vein, speaking of the particular sponge, the Venus's flower basket sponge, Matthias Fernandez, a graduate of that Harvard School of Engineering, says that it has a higher strength-to-weight ratio than the traditional lattice designs that have been used for centuries in the construction of buildings and bridges. And finally, science writer Bruce Feldman writes, "Biomechanics studies how the design and construction of plants and animals obey and even capitalize on the laws of physics." Plants and animals, sponges in particular, are inspiring graduate students, scientists, engineers with graduate degrees from renowned universities all over the country to build better bridges, buildings, and even spacecraft. And yet we are being told that a mindless nature, for no particular reason, just somehow, some way, hobbled together these creatures. Want to learn more? Go to esotericbook.com.